On a clear day, I can't see my sister is okay, but by no means is it my favourite episode of The Simpsons. This is the 11th episode of the 16th season, directed by David Silverman and Bob Anderson, and Lisa ends up getting a restraining order against Bart because he's bullied her one too many times. Maybe many too many times. Many times too many? You know what I mean. And Bart ends up not being able to even live in the house anymore because of how far away he has to stay from her. And on the one hand, I think, yeah, okay, Bart kind of deserved this. On the other, I thought this is a bit of a boring narrative and not that interesting. Honestly, it's not the most fascinating episode. Not that much happens that's quite interesting. In fact, I found Homer's story in this to be more interesting. He's working at Sprawl Mart. I'll let you work out what that's a parody of. And the scenes there, I think, were actually pretty okay. And maybe a bit of a risk because of what they're suggesting the employers of Sprawl Mart do to their employees, which, if it's a parody of, well, a very giant store, then yeah, they definitely took a risk. But I liked it. I liked that part of it. And I would have liked to have seen more of that. I think that should have been the main narrative rather than the subplot. There was one good thing about Bart's narrative, and that's when he was outside, he started to interact with nature more. And there's this scene where he's running with a bunch of animals, and he's running on all fours, and it's so peculiar to see. It's wonderfully animated. I don't know if it's necessarily anatomically correct. The way it's animated, it feels like his arms might be. I don't know, it's hard to describe what I mean by that. Hopefully you'll know what I mean. It just feels like if you were to upright that Bart, he wouldn't look as he does normally, if that makes sense. But it was really fascinating to see, and just to see him being animated in a slightly different way, I rather enjoyed. And there's a bit where well, it's the bit where he realizes that the world is his toilet, and it's just what he does there. And it's not the obvious thing, but just the way it was animated, it was. We obviously look at him from behind rather than the front, but it was just it took me by surprise. So there are some good bits in this episode, but as a whole, I didn't like Lisa in it, and that's hard for me to say because Lisa is my favorite character. Usually, I love her storylines, but no, in this one, I was Team Bart. So that's unexpected. Yeah, it's not an amazing episode, but it's not unwatchable. There are a few good moments, but it's never going to be my favorite.